Hey, folks. Hey, it's Jeff Lanfield here. Saturday night. I only got a quick 15, 20 minutes for the live stream. I'm actually heading to the Alaska Republican Party. He's having an event tonight with Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. Very, very animated guy. Very funny if you've seen his stuff. I've been independent for the last 5 years, but I have a lot of friends who are Republicans, and I was invited to this event. Not too cheap, but I'm very excited for it. So I'm going to do a quick live stream, talk about some stuff in the Republican House minority, some real loose developments here in the last, basically today. And then kind of take off and go to this event. And by the way, Thanksgiving's coming up. One of my favorite holidays. So everybody enjoy and have a happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow, Sunday, Colin will be out. I am leaving tomorrow night to go visit some family in Florida. Very excited about that. 80 degrees. So first, as always, I want to thank our sponsors, Jonathan Quick from the Kenai Peninsula. John supports independent journalism, and I really appreciate his longtime sponsorship of the live stream and the podcast. And also Ryan Sheldon, Talkeetna Landing. If some great cabins, $99 a night. You're skiing, doing snowshoeing, doing whatever you're doing in Talkeetna. You want to get away for the weekend from Fairbanks or Anchorage or somewhere else. Get a hold of Ryan Sheldon at TalkeetnaLanding.com for a great $99 a night experience. And they're booking up. A lot of weekends are booked, but there's a lot of weekdays. And if you go further out into January, February, March, there's some openings. So get a hold of him. If you haven't followed my Twitter here today, there's been a couple of big developments in the Republican House minority, and I want to talk about all of those and kind of what they mean. I got alerted earlier from Mia Costello that she was stepping aside as minority leader. There's 19 members in the House minority, 21 in the House majority. So the majority has the bare minimum members, 21. The minority has the maximum allowed members, 19. So Mia Costello has been minority leader. There was some issues with her and Kathy Tilton when the minority formed. There's kind of factions in the minority. There's probably two, maybe even three, but two known ones. So what Mia said was Will Stapp and Delana Johnson came to her and said, we have the votes to, kind of oust you if you don't want to make some changes or do some things that we want. And, I don't know exactly what was said. Will Stapp confirmed this. He said we didn't go and tell her we were going to throw her out. We had the votes for it, but we wanted to make some change. I don't know what these changes were, but Mia decided to step aside. So, she was basically ousted. And there was I tweeted about it this morning, then there was later a press release. And I've talked to some friends of mine that have been around a long time, and I've been following this stuff for many years, and lobbyists, and nobody can remember a time where a minority leader or majority leader was replaced like this mid-session, mid-legislature. There was a famous coup in the early 80s when the House threw out the speaker and put in a new speaker. But in the recent history, I can't remember this happening. So they're going to have to choose a new minority leader. Part of this, I guess, stemmed from the fact that George Rauscher and Kathy Tilton are both very likely to go to the Senate to replace Mike Shower and Shelley Hughes. And that when that happens, there is going to be a committee on committees, which sounds like a ridiculous government thing, but it is a real important. The committee on committees is kind of a weird committee that decides who sits on all the committees. Finance Committee, State Affairs Committee, Resources Committee, all these committees. It's very kind of important. So when the Committee on Committees meets in the House or the Senate, it really opens things up to changing seats and names of people who are on what committee. So I guess that was the precipitated what Will Stapp said, this meeting with Mia Costello. So she stepped down, and now they've put out a press release. Let me pull this thing up here so we can do a little reading while we're here. So I tweeted out basically big news, House minority, Costello stepping down. She said she's going to be behind 100% the next person. Stapp kind of more or less confirmed what happened. That was this morning. And then since then, they've put out a press release. House Republican Caucus has discussions to choose a new minority leader after Mia Costello resigned from the position. The caucus issued the group statement. Senate vacancies may trigger shifts in House membership and adjustments to committee assignments. The transition marks a natural point for the caucus to build on its progress and move forward with renewed focus on momentum. The House Republicans remain coordinated, motivated, and committed to returning ever stronger to these structural changes as these structural changes take shape. It's always funny when these things happen because, if it was me, I would just say, look, we had a little coup here. We had a disagreement. We have 10 of us want somebody else. And they put out this kind of stuff that makes it sound not as bad as it is. But it's interesting because that caucus is and I'm going to talk about a few things that came out today that's going to show how fractured that caucus is in the House minority. But even whoever they pick, and I've heard rumblings about Delana Johnson and maybe Kevin McCabe and someone's going to need 10 votes. But whoever they pick, I mean, that's a very fractured group. So I don't know who's going to be able to lead or unite. Nobody can lead or unite them. So that's one. So then two, I got a tip from somebody, and I looked this up. Let's pull this up here. Frank Tomacheski, who's a Republican from Fairbanks, was having a fundraiser. And here's the original list he sent out. It includes all these legislators: Rob Myers, Mike Cronk, Will Stapp, Mike Prox, Rebecca Schwenke, George Rauscher, Sarah Vance, Kathy Tilton, Jubilee Underwood, Lexi Moore. A lot of legislators. I think there was 18. Well, that was the original, right? And Governor Dunleavy's right there, okay, with Frank Tom. Look at them. Frank T's pretty tall. Look at that guy. Dunleavy's 6'7". Frank must be 6'4", 6. I don't know. He's a tall guy. I mean, I wonder, is he that tall? I know Frank. He's tall, but I wonder if he's standing on something. He looks real tall. Anyways, so these are the original list of co-hosts for this fundraiser. Well, let's go over here. It's changed, folks. Okay, the list has changed. This is the Alaska Story, the new Suzanne Downing website. And when you look at it closely, people removed were Senator Cronk, Rep. Stapp, Colomb, Elam, Ruffridge, Sadler, Bynum, Costello, and Nelson. Now, what do all these folks have in common? They all voted to override Dunleavy's veto of the education money, the education, the BSA increase. So somebody, the governor's office or the governor, somebody basically said, we don't want probably them at this fundraiser if, the governor's going to be there because they voted to override. I mean, to me, it's a little bit of a thin skin. I mean, people vote, whatever, especially Mike. I mean, these are all, with the exception of Colomb, not really a fan of Colomb. Stapp's awesome. Cronk's awesome. Elam's cool. He's awesome. Ruffridge, cool. Sadler's, I don't know, he's all right. He's a little odd. Bynum, again, I don't know. He's all right. Costello, she's cool. I mean, it's cool. And David Nelson. I like David Nelson. He's not coming back. So anyway, so that's going on. That's like interesting that they remove names of a fundraiser. Clearly, and these are, Stapp, Colomb, Elam, Ruffridge. So Sadler, Bynum, Costello. Now it's not 7. I mean, that's over a third of the House minority right there that voted. And these are some conservative people too. I mean, some are more moderate, but so that's going on. And then the other thing that happened was last night, Nicky Capozzi, who's been on the podcast, he had a fundraiser in Eagle River. He's running against Jamie Allard, Republican from Eagle River, very, very well known Republican from Eagle River. Now he had a fundraiser, and Jeremy Bynum, Julie Colomb, and Dan Sadler all showed up. You see. Now Jamie Allard's in the minority, Republican minority. 3 of these folks are in the minority. They're going to a fundraiser for a guy running against one of their members. Now, normally this stuff, not kosher. You don't publicly, if you're going to support somebody, and some of these people are recruiting folks and it's behind the scenes and not the best, but I mean, when you publicly show up, I mean, this is another level, right? So it's going to be very fascinating how this thing plays out when session starts, because they have 19, and with 19, they get 5 members on the 11-member finance committee, right? So they have 6-5, 6 majority, 5 minority. If something goes wrong and there's some animosity and some people, let's say 3 or 4 of them say, fuck it, we're out. We don't want to be in the minority anymore. If they leave, even if one leaves, I don't think one would leave. I think it'd be a group, because if one leaves, they're going to be targeted. They're all up for re-election, obviously, every 2 years. So one wouldn't leave. If it were to happen, 3 or 4 would leave, or 5 maybe. So then you'd be stuck with a 14, 15, 16 member minority, and then a 4 or 5 member kind of other group. They wouldn't have anything. But what happened is they would start to lose, if they lose members, there's a proportional chart in the uniform rules, they lose seats on the committees. So if they lose 1 member, they lose 1 seat on the finance committee. So they go from 5 to 4, you see? So it's 6 to 5 down to 7 to 4. The 7-member committees, at some point, I'm not sure, maybe it's 16 or 17, I think it's 16, they lose a member on the 7th. So state affairs, judiciary, resources, right? They start losing members. So it becomes more, they also, the block of their vote becomes less powerful when it comes to proceed, certain procedural things. At some point you start to, the 3/4 vote. I mean, that's a lot though. That's 30. So you would need to lose a ton on that. But even then, the minority's not really been cooperative. Other procedural votes, moving the calendar, things like that, the 2/3 threshold, 27. So it could be very interesting how this might play out next year. I know all these people, they're mostly, I'm not a big fan of Colomb. I can go into that later, but some of them are way cooler than others. But I mean, they're all Kevin McCabe. I love Kevin McCabe. He's my neighbor. My friend and I bought some land out there in Big Lake on Crooked Lake. McCabe's right down the way. Great guy, great neighbor. But he's got his opinions, and they all have their kind of they're very, and Kathy Tilton and George Rauscher, they're about to get the fuck out. I mean, they must be very like we're out, goodbye, thank you. If they get appointed to the Senate seats and they get confirmed, they're out. I mean, they're very probably happy about that. So there'll be 2 new members. We have no idea who they will be. Could be anybody. And how does that change the dynamic? Now the governor gets to pick them, so it's really up to the governor, kind of. But they have to be confirmed too. So don't forget, they have to be confirmed by a majority. So they have what? They have if both leave the same time, it goes from 19 to 17. So what is that? A majority is 9. So then you all of a sudden need 9 of them to start voting to confirm the replacement. So then you could even get into a situation where who's the person gonna what faction are they gonna be with? I mean, who it could get very complicated. It could get very interesting. So, with 19 members, if they were a cohesive, good bloc and they got along and they didn't have all these problems, they could be a very, very powerful voice, minority voice, because the majority can't lose 1 vote on anything. Now, if they lose members, it starts to get better for the majority. But with 19, they could really have a big impact on steering of the ship. But when it's like so fractured like it is, it's not as the big block isn't as effective. So I don't know what's going to happen. But Mia's out as minority leader. You got other members, Bynum, Colomb, and Sadler going to Nick Capozzi's fundraiser. He's running against Jamie Allard. You got Frankie Tomaszewski removing names, 8 names, 7 members of the minority, including Mike Kronk in the Senate. And Mike Kronk's solid. If you're a Republican, and I've been independent for the last 5 years, but I like Mike Kronk a lot. Mike Kronk is he's like one of the most Alaskan dudes I know. I mean, he goes home and he kills bears and he goes to trap lines. And he was in Juneau last session. And literally it was like, I think April or May, him and his buddy got in a boat. It was like on a Sunday morning. They went somewhere, I'm not sure where, killed a large bear, and were back the same day. And then he went to vote, go on the floor the next day. I mean, Mike Kronk is like, if you got and he was a teacher. He voted, okay, he votes against on the veto override. I mean, sometimes these things happen. I mean, this should have been handled a long time ago. It never should have got to that point. But, I mean, for Mike Kronk to be removed, I mean, my gosh, this guy nobody's going to call Mike Kronk a rhino or not a conservative. So that he's a senator, but I mean, just to have him be in this mix of this Frank Tomaszewski and getting his name taken off the list, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that Mike Kronk is one of the most solid people I've met, as far as legislators, and he's just like the Mr. Alaska. That guy, he's kind of like a Don Young. He's just, everything about him screams like Alaskan, and also conservative, and also just a hell of a nice guy. So he's in the Senate, but he's wrapped up in this Tomaszewski thing with these names being taken off the fundraiser. Really wild. I mean, absolutely. And don't forget, next year we got the election year, we got the governor's race, we got this dividend bullshit that we should get rid of. But I mean, that's going to be a factor. We got oil prices in the mid-60s. Maybe they go down. Maybe there's a bigger problem. The governor's budget comes out next month. What's he going to do? Is he going to put in the full dividend at 2.5 or 2.7 billion, whatever it might be, which is crazy? There's just a variety of there's also paying back. They took $200 million from the higher education fund last year to pay part of this dividend. I mean, they want to pay that back. They say, who knows? They owe the CBR. They owe the Constitutional Budget Reserve savings account. They owe that thing $13 billion, which they've never started to pay back. They've just spent it down. There's only $3 billion left. So there's this gas line thing that's, what's going to happen with that? There's oil. People are talking about oil tax stuff. That's been discussed. There's different. Governor might introduce a sales tax potentially. I've been hearing, and if he does a sales tax, which I mean, honestly, I think statewide sales tax is not a bad idea. We have all these tourists who come here. They pay sales tax in local cities and communities, but they don't pay any state sales. The state basically gets nothing from tourism. We get nothing. We get maybe the vehicle rental tax. That's like 10 million or 10 some million. Now we get jobs. We get it's good to have tourism. That's a good thing. But the state itself, we give money to the Travel Industry Association. I think 5 million or 10 million. They want more. I think at one point it was 20 million. What does the state get as far as money back from tourism? Vehicle rental tax. I don't even think the state gets any of the bed tax. I think that's all local communities. So we don't get much back from tourism. If we had a statewide sales tax, we would start to get something back as far as the state directly benefiting from. And tourists come here. They use roads. They do things, right? If somebody gets hurt, there's a police or there's some kind of medical. I mean, they use state services. So anyways, but if he does a sales tax bill, who knows? That's a revenue bill. Okay, when a revenue bill when a bill gets on the floor like that, it can get moved and changed and loaded up, and it could be very, depending the mood of the legislature. So there could be a lot happening next year. As one legislator told me, who was very experienced, he goes, we can do one big thing per session. I mean, we can do one. Also, there's the pension bill. The pension passed the House. It's in the Senate. That's going to be a fight. Bert Stedman's one of the ones in the majority who's against that. So all this stuff dies at the end of the session. The second session, that's it. It's all over. All the bills, unless there's a special session, which unlikely. It's an election year. So this person told me one bill, one big topic per session we can tackle. We can't do 2 or 3 or 4. Just no. I mean, you got the pension, the gas line, the dividend, all these other things that are going to be going on, and this Republican minority situation. So it's going to be kind of wild. I can't predict it. I'm going to be there. I'll be in Juneau, folks. It's going to be a wild one. This last session, for me, I'll be honest, was a little boring. It wasn't as exciting as normal. We didn't have people running out of the building and trying to leave, the Democrats fleeing and maybe going to the airport, and all the crazy things we've seen with the Senate majority in the past, and all the wild. I mean, it was just a little more tame. So I like a little more loose. It's more fun. It's more entertaining, and it's more fun to cover. So I got to run. I got to go to this John Kennedy event. He's speaking at the Republican Party 7 event. I'm very excited about that. He's from Louisiana, a very animated senator. I want to thank my sponsors again, Jonathan Quick from the Kenai Peninsula. Thank you, John, for being a sponsor. John Supports Independent Journalism, has been a longtime sponsor. Ryan Sheldon, Talkeetna Landing. He's got a couple cabins there starting at $99 a night. You want to get away, you want to go hiking or skiing or snow machining or fat tire biking, or you want to just get away and relax, go to TalkeetnaLanding.com and check that out. Get out of town, folks. Have a good time. Relax a little bit. And if you want to support the Landmine, alaskalandmine.com/subscribe. You can do a one-time, monthly, recurring. You can also get a hold of me. If you have any questions, we sell ads on the website. And if you want to sponsor the live stream or the podcast, get a hold of me, and I'm happy to share with you the costs on that and the analytics and all that for the website and for the live stream and for the podcast. So thanks again, and we will check you folks next time tomorrow, Sunday, Minefield. We got a real good loose unit coming up. And I've been digging on this. By the way, last thing, this lunatic, Doreen Lorenz, who's threatening to sue me, who we've not been served yet, by the way, absolute unhinged psychopath. I mean, this woman is just, it's going to be so much fun if this thing proceeds. I've talked to some great lawyers. We're going to have a lot of fun with this baby. A lot of fun with this baby. A lot of people are going to be involved, a lot of depositions. And this Jesse Lee Holmes stuff that should have been covered much more in depth by the media 12, 13, 14 years ago, it's all going to come out, Doreen, okay? It's all going to come out. And also, take a look at her court view. I posted a screenshot of all of her. I mean, you can tell a little bit about somebody when their court view is 3 pages long. Mine's like 7 or 8. I got a couple tickets many, many years ago. I sued the governor at some point that went to federal court. I had an issue with Kathy Tilton over some procedural stuff in the legislature. And this Doreen Lorenz thing. So, I mean, go to mine. I mean, it's like not that much there. It's very, very unexciting. Doreen, on the other hand, Doreen Lorenz. Whoo, look at that baby. I mean, we got a real beauty here, folks. It's Doreen Lorenz. We're gonna have a good time with her. So, thanks again. We'll check you guys next time, and have a good night. Have a good weekend. Have a good Thanksgiving.